Here we go with day number 3 of my study plan. Today I'm going to show you guys a master game from the ChessGoals Caro-Kann repertoire. This is from our Panov Attack chapter, and we're going to look at a game that comes actually out of a Sicilian but transposes to our pseudo-Panov variation. So the game went e4, c5, but I'm going to show you the Caro-Kann move order. c4, d5. E takes D, C takes D, C takes D. And this is where we have our fun ChessGoals move A6. We always like to throw these little wrinkles in the opening to throw the opponent off. And what I really like about A6 is it's protecting this B5 square as well as this diagonal in general, because we're going to look to play B5 ourselves, maybe bishop B7, and win this pawn back eventually. So we're not in a hurry to play queen takes D5. The queen can be attacked from D5. And we also don't want to start knight f6 because we're going to prevent any bishop b5 check ideas. So after knight to c3, knight f6, now we're starting to think of knight takes d5. The main move you'll probably see here from white is bishop to c4. That's the most popular move in the club level database. But in today's video I wanted to look at d4 because I've seen 2 games recently from ChessGoals members where they've had this option to take on d5 pretty quickly. And both games I felt like white got quite a bit of play. So I wanted to go through a sample game and just kind of show some of the ideas from the black side. So we're going to look at knight takes d5 and knight f3. So this transposes to this game between Niklas Huschenbeth, he's a grandmaster rated 2620, and Michal Matsuzuki, he's a 2518, I believe grandmaster. And this was from a tournament in Poland in 2019. So we jump ahead to the transposition. Here black played knight to c6. Bishop to c4 was played, double attacking the knight. And now bishop to e6. This is a very common idea in our ChessGoals repertoire when you face the Panov. We're going to plant the knight on d5, defend it with the bishop on e6. And now this creates threats, like knight takes c3 for example, and these bishops are lined up. So right now, if we're allowed to play knight takes c3, black is completely winning. We're winning a piece there. So white plays bishop to b3, and now Michal plays knight to a5. And what I really like about this game is black attacks from start to finish. Like every single move, black is playing for the initiative, and that's something that we try to do in our repertoire as well, is we like to play for the initiative, even from the black side. So not only are we going for the bishop pair, we're going for a bunch of trades and leaving white with the weak IQP, which means isolated queen pawn, sitting on d4. There's no e pawn and there's no c pawn for white. So here white plays knight g5. And from looking at this game, I think white wanted to play aggressively as well. Like he's definitely fighting for the initiative. He wants to play knight takes e6, maybe eliminate our bishop pair. But now there's this really smooth move by black. Queen to d7. And if knight takes e6, what's going to happen is we can take back on e6 with check. A bunch of trades will most likely occur. And in the end, after all of these trades, white is still stuck with this IQP. And we just have a very comfortable advantage, and black really should never lose this game. It's most likely to be a draw at eye levels, but I think black can definitely press for a win, especially at the club level. So after knight g5, queen d7, very nice move. White decides to castle. And here black decides to play knight takes b3, and this secures the bishop pair. Because let's say white plays knight takes e6. Black can then play knight takes c3, hitting the queen. And if knight takes f8, knight takes d1, knight takes d7, knight takes a1. It's a long variation, but in the end, we're going to be up the exchange, and I don't think white has any compensation for that exchange. So really, after knight takes b3, the only good move for white is to take back on b3. A takes b is the strongest, queen takes b is an option. But now, black was free to move the bishop, and this secures the bishop pair advantage. So I always love to look at imbalances. Here black has the bishop pair number 1, the IQP to work against number 2, and these isolated b pawns number 3. All of this, I think, adds up to a pretty nice, comfortable edge for black. Now, if we look at the advantages from the white side, I think it's development. White's already got the king castled, and it's going to take black 1 pawn move, 1 bishop move, and a king move to get castled. So black is 3 moves behind in development. That's the next goal. Let's get developed. Here white played queen d3, e6, defending this important d5 square in front of the isolated pawn. You always want to secure the square in front of the isolated pawn. Otherwise, white may push the pawn, sacrifice it, and just open up the game for their attack. Now white played rook e1, and we see bishop to e7. Black is working to get castled. Queen g3. Again, aggressive by white. White's playing active, putting their pieces on good squares. Knight f3, eyeing that g7 pawn. And black gets finally castled. And it looks a little bit scary because of bishop h6, which is played in the game. White threatens the checkmate on g7. And here black found a nice reply. Oh, I'm sorry, knight e5 was played first. If this was played right away, there is bishop g6, hitting the bishop. So white played knight e5 first, attacking the queen. And after queen d8, now bishop h6. And black could play bishop g6. That's probably the strongest move because it threatens pawn takes bishop. In the game he played bishop to f6, which is still good, but gives black a little bit less of an advantage. And white made a mistake immediately after with bishop to d2. Now this is a pretty subtle mistake, and at first I didn't realize, like, why is this such a big advantage for black? Because Stockfish is now saying black is up 1.7. And the reason why is because all of these pieces are so active, and this b3 pawn is weak, and this pawn on d4 is weak, that black's able to jump on white's position very quickly, and actually the queen for white is low on squares as well. So black plays bishop to h4, and already this queen does not have many moves. If you look, almost every square is defended. It looks like queen f3 is the only move, and that's what white plays. And now black plays knight to b4. And you can see here black has the initiative, and it's already getting uncomfortable for white. Knight c2 is threatened, forking the rooks. After rook d1, he still plays knight c2, hitting the e1 rook. Rook f1, and now f6, kicking this knight away. And if you look, every single move, black is creating some sort of threat, making white react to those moves. Knight to c4, and now we see knight takes d4. This secures a free pawn for white, or for black, I mean. So now black is up a pawn, b3 is weak, the king is safe, and all of black's pieces are active. So this 1 pawn advantage is closer to probably a 2 pawn advantage, according to Stockfish. So black has a pawn plus positional advantages. Queen to h5. Queen takes b7 might be slightly stronger, but it does give black a lot of play. There's additional attacking chances on the queen, like rook f7 for example. Bishop c2 is still on deck, forking the rook and the b3 pawn. So I think white wanted to play more aggressive with queen h5 and hoping that maybe black will make some mistake here. Now, there's only one move here for black, and it looks very strange. This might be part of why white played queen h5, but bishop g5 is a very strong reply. Even though after bishop takes g5, f takes g5, the pawns are damaged for black, this half-open f-file helps black out, and the b3 pawn is still going to drop after bishop c2. So black is most likely going to be up 2 pawns here, with no comp for white. And another cool thing in this position, pawn to g6 is actually trapping the queen. So white has to go for bishop takes g5. Here knight e5 was played. And now I'm going to fast forward a little bit through the next few moves, but just look at how black creates a threat every move. Queen d6 hitting the knight. Bishop c2 forking rook and pawn. Rook to f5, double attacking this knight, ready to bring the other rook over soon. And now queen to f5. So black has put all of these pieces on nice aggressive squares, and this rook is ready to come in next. B3 pawn's about to drop, and white's pieces are looking a little bit shaky here still. So white plays f3, and black grabs this pawn. Knight takes b3, opening a discovered attack on this knight. After rook takes c2, queen takes c4, white moves the rook back, and now we see knight to c5 by black, with the idea of knight to d3 hitting the rook, and then knight to f4, forking the other rook and the queen. So just every move for black, it's like he's playing for the initiative. He's creating a threat, he's winning material, he's creating a new threat, and white's really struggling to keep up. And that's why I thought this was a great example of how to play this opening, how to take it into the middle game, play for the initiative, and really keep your opponent on their heels. Rook to d1 was played, knight to d3, still going with the original plan. Knight to f4 is threatened with a huge fork. Rook e to d2, queen c5, and now black's looking at knight f2 ideas. So there's no king h1 here because knight f2 check. This is almost a smothered mate. Could win the rook first. The king goes back, check again. The king goes back, maybe check this way. Now you got smothered mate. Well, it's not even smothered because the queen will mate on g1. So white's in big trouble. He played king f1. Now we see knight f4 hitting the queen. And what's going to happen is this queen is actually going to get harassed by the h-pawn and the g-pawn. Rook a to f8. This is coming. h5, h4, or h5, g4. There's nothing white can do about it. Knight e4, hitting the queen, so black sidesteps with check, and then continues with the plan. And I love how black creates these plans, and there's like nothing white can do about it, and black will still just go forward with the plan. Usually you create a threat, and maybe your opponent has some way to slow down the threat, or temporarily stop it. In this case, every threat is still being continued with on the very next move. Queen g3 was played, now pawn to h4, hitting the queen again. Queen to b6 check, putting the king back onto f1, and now we see knight to d5, threatening a royal fork. Rook, king, and queen all forked at the same time. Every black piece is well placed. They're all on the aggressive side of things. Black's fully got the initiative. Stockfish says black is up 8 points already, even though according to the material, black is only up 2. Now white tries one last-ditch effort to stop this attack, gives up the exchange, but very quickly after e takes d, knight c3, black plays queen takes b2, and we're going to see that white's position completely crumbles in the next couple moves. Knight takes d5, rook e5, threatening the queen e2 check, queen c4, trying to defend it, and now another smooth move by black, king h8, just sidestepping this double check threat. After h3, b5, it becomes apparent that black's going to start pushing these queenside pawns up the board. There's one more move for each side, queen d3, rook to d8, and here white resigned. So very nice move. I'm probably butchering the name, but I think it's Michel Matejewski. He's a 25-18 player, and I just really like the style of this game, how the whole game he played for the initiative. So this comes out of the ChessGoals Caro-Kann course, links in the description below, and I'll put a playlist up above for Caro-Kann bonus content. Go check out some other content in our course. We have full chapter previews for all of the chapters in that course. It's a video course. You get the PGN file, you get access to our Discord, you get support from myself and other users in our Discord community. So yeah, really, it's our best-selling course of this year, the Caro-Kann course, and we've got a lot of really good feedback on it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was day 3 of my study plan, doing a master game review, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video, day number 4.